Hey, Steve. Excuse me. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jen. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you and I can see you. So you're doing good.
Live,
How's it
live,
going?
live from the wonderful state of Michigan here.
Oh, you are? Okay. And we are live on the air, just so you know. I have to start it early, so
Yeah, no,
just so you know.
no, good. I'm glad you were on so I could test my system. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, Jen.
Is there anything you need from me before we start, or anything?
I don't think so. Amanda's going to lead the budget discussion.
Okay.
I assume I saw. I know we put Slate on, so we'll just look for them, and I'll kind of, since this is working good, I think I can kind of pull people in as necessary.
Okay. Alrighty. Sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any audience people coming in that would need to be, um, promoted to panelists. I don't know how you got it set up, so.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. I can see when attendees come in and then, yeah, I can always, it's so easy to promote them, so we can just ask them. Can you see the attendees when they come in, or
I don't
is it
think so.
separated?
I only
Okay,
see, yeah, I think I only see the panelists that come in
okay,
since
okay,
I'm,
I wasn't sure. Okay,
and then I did sign a bunch of those meeting minutes. I assume you got them last week.
right, yeah, thank you for that.
Yep, no worries.
I guess the only thing I had, were we gonna go over, Kent mentioned a list about Sixth Street, but I guess that's on the agenda, yeah, we'll just talk about it then, probably.
Yeah, just wanted to, I don't think we know what is still on, what's off, what's still being considered. I know the Board of Selectmen uh, 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 did not approve the parks or Strauss Park as being open container.
Uh-huh,
But they did approve the businesses on Sixth Street being able to extend their liquor licenses onto the sidewalk slash street if they have a
Yeah,
perimeter and everything, so.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think Kent is going to be at this meeting.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
So,
there's other things on the list that he might be able to say, yeah, we're looking at tables, we're looking at chairs. I did see a couple of pictures, even though I'm not in town, of, I guess some of the businesses put cinder blocks up and some 2x4s as sort of kind of benches or something.
yeah, I saw that. That was cute. That was like right in front of the soap shop, kind of down by the bank.
Yeah,
And then they had something out in the street. It looked like it was going to be a game or something. Like it had, it looked like putt-putt golf almost, like that kind
oh,
of turf with the
okay.
benches around it. But I didn't see a hole. So, but it looked like it was going to be some kind of game, which I thought that looked really good. I think Kelly Babian came by and was wanting to know what's going on with stuff, just in case of an emergency, I guess. But we
Yeah,
want people to put stuff out on the streets, is what we were telling them and stuff. So, right?
yeah, I think I don't know what is or isn't allowed at this point. I'm not sure the merchants actually
I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we have any restrictions on, I mean, common sense, of course, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the only restriction would be Kelly Baby and being able to get his trucks through. And I'm not sure what his requirement would be. I don't know if the businesses are supposed to only set up on the side of the street that formerly had parking on it so that he can, and do we need to keep the, where the cars used to drive open so that if he has to pull a truck and he can?
I mean, he didn't say that, but nobody's told us that. I mean, I guess I was kind of thinking maybe just as long as it's something that can be moved fairly easily and quickly, if, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something they need to get through is all I was thinking.
I would think so. So, yeah, as long as I
But
don't want to look for problems, so as long as everything that everyone's doing, he didn't raise a red flag, then I think we just assume we keep going forward with it. So,
yeah, I think he just wants it to be kind of like, let him know what's going on maybe a little bit. I don't know. It
yeah.
was he just so, but no, he wasn't raising like issues or anything. I don't
Right.
want
Okay.
to. Anyway, all right.
Good deal.
Steve, excuse me, Steve.
Yeah,
I think I have one amendment to the agenda, and it's just regarding, it's from Tim Hammond. If you guys want him to play DJ music on the alternate Saturdays that Mountain Jams aren't going on.
oh, okay.
So I think he's working it out with the library. He was trying to get sponsorship from some of the businesses like he did last year. So I'm not sure exactly like, you know, how much money would need to,
Yeah, I mean, we can bring it up as, we can put it on the agenda and, I guess the question is he looking for money from the town in lieu of not getting it from businesses?
I think so. I think he's gonna try to get, like, I know he mentioned he did get a couple Saturdays sponsored, so yeah, maybe that was it for the ones that he doesn't, like, if, you know, it's a question, I guess, if you wanted to have, you know, have him do it and pay for it, if he didn't get it sponsored. That'd be the question, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we'll amend the agenda for that then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So why does Volts Media appear as Kevin Curek?
Let me check that. Let's see.
I think
Oh, maybe he's using, I'll change his name.
the social media guy's going by alias, and he's showing how sophisticated he is. I'll give it one more minute. Looks like people are still joining.
Okay, and we have one attendee, which is Kimberly. So I don't know, Kimberly, if you want to speak. Let's put her on and ask her because she can't talk unless I promote her.
Hi, I had my mic on mute and I don't have anything at the moment to say, but yeah, just seeing what's going on.
Okay, if you want to talk, Kimberly, just type in the chat, you know, and
Sure.
then I'll promote you. Okay,
Sure.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? Jen, you want to do roll call?
Okay, so Jan McCollum,
Here.
Amanda Cooper,
Here.
Kyle Rutten,
Here.
Kevin Kaharik,
Here.
Paul Boat,
Here.
and Steve Skalski.
Here.
Okay, and we have a quorum.
Okay, and then agenda approval. There is one additional agenda item that we'll talk about. Tim Hammond wants to know if we want him to play every other weekend that the Mountain Jams isn't playing. I think he's coordinating with the library at this point. But I believe his question's going to be, will the town support his playing every other weekend in the event he doesn't get a business sponsor? So we need to amend the agenda for that. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Anybody second it? That's not on mute.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I don't see anybody from the audience. We do have one person listening in that we know of, but she did not have anything to say at this point. I don't know if that was a business owner or not. Jen, do you know?
Yes.
She does have a business, yeah.
Okay.
She has
Okay,
the
well-
outdoor guiding service.
Okay, yeah, and Jen will promote her if she does have anything to say, but she didn't have anything to say at the beginning of the meeting, so we'll move forward with no audience business. Any new or unfinished business before we get into the slate discussion? Okay, we will go to Liz. Hi, Liz. Good morning.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Good. Nods, that's good. I know it's been a little while since we've seen you guys, so hopefully you're all hanging in there, but wanted to give you a few updates on what we've been doing. But the main focus of our conversation is around some ideas we had for promoting the pedestrian area. So a couple weeks ago, Kent shared with us that was a new thing in Georgetown, that's really important to you guys as a new feature to show that Georgetown is a safe place to visit. So we've been chatting with him and Carol in the last couple weeks with a couple ideas as far as promotion for that area goes. So we'll sprinkle in some updates with that, but just want to share a document with some ideas and talk through those with you guys. So I'm not sure if Kent was able to share this before the meeting, but I'll share my screen. Oh, there we go. getting my stuff all in order. So like I mentioned, we were trying to brainstorm a few ideas around how this could be promoted, both through our free tools that we have available and some paid opportunities that we want your guys' feedback on. You know, taking a step back, we really want to frame this around that Georgetown has always been a safe place to visit. We're just building on that. You know, the businesses and other entities in town have made some adjustments to help visitors feel safe amid the pandemic. And this is just another way for people to enjoy their visit in Georgetown, just another way to get outside, enjoy the businesses and that kind of thing. So just showing that there's lots of ways you can enjoy your visit to Georgetown that's within a close distance from Denver. Also want to say that, you know, Georgetown marketing is a group effort. So we know that there's a lot of tools that are at play and different people involved with these different ways to promote Georgetown. So definitely want your feedback throughout these items, especially with Kyle and Travis, you know, managing the website and social media. So definitely let us know what you think is reasonable and what you think would make the most sense to spread the word about the area. Also want Anna to maybe jump in a little bit too to talk about what the CTO is recommending around showing safety measures that businesses are taking. If you want to talk a little bit about that, Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. So we discussed this briefly during our business promotion discussions and one-on-ones, but we've heard directly from CTO and their sort of analytics partners that travelers do want to hear about what precautions are being taken by businesses. So whether that's hand sanitizer by the door, whether that's, you know, different hours to make sure that your staff is staying safe and things like that. Anything and everything that you're doing from a business perspective, you should make sure to be communicating that somehow via social media, via website, et cetera, via your Google, your business listing. The same kind of applies for different entities. So, you know, people are looking for information about, you know, is this place open? Is this place welcoming visitors? Most of the people who are traveling to these places are trying to be considerate travelers, you know, whether or not they follow all the rules or all the guidelines to be determined. But at the same time, people are looking for information about this type of, basically like whether or not it's safe for them to come, whether or not they'll be welcomed when they do come, and how to travel safely when they're there.
Yeah, so we're kind of trying to follow their lead as far as what visitors are attracted to, kind of what they're looking for. I think people are doing a lot more research before they go to certain places now to just double check that places are open, that businesses are taking those precautions so they'll feel comfortable and safe when they do go to visit. So kind of with that in mind, I want to jump into just some of the kind of free tools and tactics, content creation type things that we think we have available to us just through different Georgetown's different mediums. So first, we thought it might be helpful to have some sort of blog or article on the website, just listing information about the pedestrian area. And again, having overall ideas around how Georgetown is a safe place to visit. I think this could really be kind of the home base to lead people back to, so that link could be easily shared through social media, through email blasts, also through the Colorado Tourism Office. So we've been working with them to make sure that Georgetown is listed in a section they have on colorado.com called What's Open. So this is just an area where people can go and understand what really is open and what those possibilities are. So this is the blog link or just pedestrian area information we can easily add to that page as well. So again, just having a digital footprint, a place to link back to with some information about that, I think would be really helpful. Kind of along those same lines with maybe some similar content is we can definitely create a press release. So just writing up some information again about the area and how Georgetown is seeing things safe during these times to share with our regional publications, you know, local media, radio, that kind of thing, and also with our tourism partners. We have quite a few entities that, you know, are looking for content, again, trying to share safe destinations for people to visit and with their audience. So another way to just show how Georgetown is prioritizing our safety. Also, I think there might be a way to maybe work with the Clear Creek Tourism Office, so with Cassandra and others, to see if they can share this information through their tools as well.
Sure. Just shoot help desk an email and we can adjust that.
Going into some photo and video, so definitely would try and get some more photos of the pedestrian area, high quality, showing that people are interacting with it. We do have our drone operator who's scheduled to come out either later this week or this weekend. So that's something we can definitely help with. I know Kent was working with another local that might have taken some photos that we could share, but we can also help with that later in the week as well. And then another idea that we had that would take a little bit more effort, maybe look at our budget a little bit to rearrange some things, would be to create a short video that really showcases the area. Again, not sure if you guys were able to take a look at this document ahead of time, but Salida did a really great job of promoting their pedestrian area kind of along the same lines in their downtown. So they created a short video for social media, less than a minute or so. That's a mix of their mayor talking about why this is important for them to do, some B-roll footage of just people enjoying the area, eating outside, that kind of thing. And then some drone footage of their downtown and just the beautiful landscape that's surrounding Salida. So if we wanted to, we can also take a look at that video if you guys didn't have a chance to. What are your thoughts on looking at that quickly right now?
I think the only thing, but the only problem, just to keep in mind promotions, is that we have technically only 30 days left on the mall.
Mhm.
And so I would want to know what the Board of Selectmen's intent is before we put a bunch of money into a video. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great, but if it's going to go, if the mall's going away in 30 days, then there's no point, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And that is something that Kent mentioned to us, in going through these ideas. So if this is something you guys want to go forward with, even with an unsure deadline, I think we can get this done pretty quickly. I've let our videographer know that this is a possibility. So he could come out as early as like Tuesday next week, and then we could cut it together within probably a week after that. So that is an option, but like you said, Amanda, definitely something to consider of, is this going to be around for a while?
If we do a video, assuming we did a video, would we do Parker or Lynette or both in the video?
Sorry, I don't think I know who those people are.
Lynette is our police judge,
Okay.
who is our de facto mayor, and Parker the Snow Dog is our official
Oh, yeah.
mayor.
That's a very good question. Maybe both.
And I don't think we need to answer that here, but certainly if for expediency's sake, doing a nice whimsical tie-in with our honorary mayor may be the best, quickest route to go, but I don't know if any other commission members have an opinion.
I think it would be good to play the video, Liz, if it's less than a minute, just so people
Yeah,
see what they did.
definitely. So let's see if the sound will work too. Sorry, I might have to stop and restart my screen share. Okay.
Hi, this is Mayor P.T. Wood from the great city of Salida, Colorado, standing down here at our amazing F Street closure. Something that the city decided to do to help our businesses thrive and survive during the COVID outbreak here. So folks are able to come downtown, enjoy our great restaurants, our great shops at a comfortable social distance. So spread out, enjoy the outside, get some great food, do some awesome shopping.
It's a really great video. They did a really nice job.
Yeah, so again, it more shows than just tells you about what you can do there. And I think just seeing the busyness too adds a lot of appeal to it. We don't want to show it too crowded of people not being able to socially distance and that kind of thing. But just seeing that there's activity, that people are enjoying it in a safe way, I think it says a lot to a visitor. So again, something to consider, and we can circle back on that conversation too.
Well, in light of expediency and what Amanda said, because we only have a few weeks, I'd like, if we can get something up by next Tuesday, I think we should do it, because I think, just a nice, short, quick video like that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if any other board members agree, disagree.
What about if we did something that was a little more broad, where the pedestrian mall is featured as part of it, but it maybe shows like the train in the lake and some businesses or something. Just so that we're not focusing in on something that has a question mark on it.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. And going back to that overall framework that we're talking about, of this is one aspect of your visit to Georgetown, but there's lots of other things you can do. So like you said, going to the lake, maybe enjoying the train. So I think we could definitely take that approach too.
Oh, so that was already on your radar, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I think that clarification is really helpful.
I agree, but the lake is going to have huge business and draw anyway, and it doesn't necessarily coincide with revenues, the fishing part of it. So I would play up the what you can do as far as businesses go, and then include the nature portion of it as just a sideline.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point too. Oh, I think that sounds good.
The one thing I would mention to the commission is I saw Abramson's have several new businesses on 6th Street, and I don't even know if that's hitting the radar of our current website, or if Kyle or anybody has received anything about it, but certainly their businesses add to the vibrancy of the pedestrian mall. And so I wouldn't want to leave them out because they are so new. I think there's a there's definitely the coffee shop. There's a mountain housewares shop. And then what was the third shop they opened up, guys?
Kitchen store.
Plants.
Yeah, so we just would want to make sure, if we're going to talk businesses and we're going to talk businesses on 6th Street, let's make sure the Abramson's new stores are included.
Their grand opening, by the way, is this weekend.
Okay.
That's great. Awesome. Yeah, so that'd be a good one. You know, if we do want to go forward with this, then I might chat with Kent and the team too. I see Amanda talking.
No, I was gonna say they have live music. My mute was stuck. I was like being mad. They've got like live music and like some drawings and stuff, and they're gonna have like food out, so it would be advantageous maybe for footage on Saturday. I think is it this weekend or is it the 15th? Let me look. Hold tight.
Right, keep us posted.
I'll see if I can find the invite. I'm probably mistaken.
But yeah, we can work with Kent and the team to kind of get in touch with both the businesses we know, plus these new ones that may try and get some inside video footage too, to get and break it up between outdoor, indoor, that kind of thing. I think
Hi, this is Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good, Kevin.
Okay. I'm all for making the video too, making it, not too dated, so it has a longer shelf life. But in reality, we just don't know how long this is going to go on. So to think that in 3 weeks, even though the pedestrian mall may or may not end, if we could just promote it to everybody as much as we can in the next 3 weeks and just see where things are, I think that's worth the effort. So I'm with Steve. I think we do need to do the video. Anything we can do in our toolbox.
Yeah, I think that's good to know. And you know, with this direction of it being more overarching, there might be ways, if the pedestrian area does close, I think Labor Day, you guys mentioned, you know, if it does in fact close, then there might be ways to recut it too, so we can still continue using that video, just pulling out little pieces of it if needed. So I think that's really good to know that we want to go in that direction most likely. So just want to move on quickly to a couple paid ideas.
Just before you do, Liz, I guess the opening is until the 15th. So we need to proceed with the video prior to that. So let's just we'll keep going with whatever businesses we have information for, so.
Okay. Are they doing kind of like a soft opening before, you know, are they open now, or is that okay, so we could still kind of go inside, that kind of thing. So again, quickly with some paid opportunities, these are a couple of things that we actually have within our current budget that we can pivot a little bit, but I'll let Anna kind of talk through those too.
All right, well, it's pretty straightforward here under this paid advertising section. We did work with Out There Colorado, the publication, to publish an article and promote it on their channels. They've really grown their audience in the past few years, so I'm hoping that we get pretty much a boatload of impressions and reach, talking about Georgetown and how you guys have pivoted to navigate COVID and also fun things to do while they're here. So kind of a twist like we've been working on between, you know, giving people the information they need to make travel decisions, but also enticing information to make sure that they select us over other competing destinations. We'll get results from that article in about 2 or 3 weeks. I think they like to have it run for about a month before we get any reporting metrics on it. But knowing our former performance with Out There Colorado, I can assure you that we're going to have lots of eyes on this article. And typically people tend to read most of it. Thank you, Kevin, for participating in the interview. They did want to interview a local business owner. So we connected them with Kevin, and he was great in providing them with quotes about how businesses here are adapting to current conditions and how we're still really eager to welcome visitors. Next up, I'm actually going to jump to number 3 here. So, you know, thinking about, we want to talk about something specific like the pedestrian mall, or in general, kind of, you know, summer offerings in Georgetown. That's a really great option for when we would utilize our advertisement through 303 Magazine, their Instagram. We have a contract with them through Instagram sponsored posts. So they have a really large Denver audience of a variety of ages, and all would do well to come to Georgetown and spend money there. So we are going to basically schedule that as soon as we have content to promote them all. So whether it's the video, whether it's some quality photos, this is something that is on our radar that we are hopefully going to get out in the next week. And I have been working with a 303 rep to make sure that that can happen. So that's just kind of another element that once we get those top-notch visuals, we can start the promotion via those channels and kind of extend the reach of what we're sharing. Thinking about extension as well, bullet number 2. So this is where we would say, okay, marketing collaboration effort is that we have set aside funds for some sponsored posts via Facebook and Instagram. So working with other teams to make sure that we can kind of boost the range and reach of information that we want to share specifically about the pedestrian mall. So that's kind of the rundown of what's currently in the budget and what we're utilizing as best as we can on the timelines that we have. So Liz, I'll bring it back to you unless anyone else has any questions.
I just have a comment, and it might be kind of a question for Kent, but it kind of plays into this. The money that we offered some of the 6th Street businesses, if they wanted to do tents and stuff, has that gone out? Have they gotten that? The ones that wanted it? Do we know?
We had a survey and got back responses, and Carolyn has more information regarding that. We have not given them the money, no, regarding it, to move forward with that.
Because that too, we're kind of running out of time, and that would, if they could get their tents up or whatever, whoever wanted to do that, that would help enhance the look.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a couple that didn't, or the couple that did, yes. But not very many.
But 1 or 2 is 1 or 2.
Yeah. Then I got contacted by the fire, well, I had a message left by the fire chief. I have to talk with the fire chief about access and his concerns regarding that. So I'm trying to coordinate that part as well. Make sure that stay on a certain side regarding it, so.
So Ken, I assume that's still to be understood at this point, so that because I guess there is no guidance for a business whether they should be on one side of the street or the other at this point, or is
No.
there? Okay.
No. It's just trying to coordinate all of them so that it does stay, there is a lane that's still open. for emergency traffic, although it gets jumbled up very quickly. So.
Okay, it just sounds like we and businesses should proceed doing what we're going to do and doing what they're going to do. And I guess as long as no one's spending money that is wasted money because they can't put it up because it doesn't make sense. If it gets in the way of a fire lane or something, then, hopefully that won't be the issue. So.
Yeah. I'd rather them do something than not do something. Yes.
Well, going back to this stuff really quickly, it sounds like the video we definitely want to go forward with. The paid stuff, these 2 items are things that have already happened or that we're pursuing pretty heavily right now. Beyond those things, are there any other questions you guys have or things that you see as high priority going forward? Scroll up a little bit.
Sounds like you're covering it, Liz. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. So again, we'll get going, especially on the video piece, and keep Kent and then the group informed on how that's kind of going, but more coming from us soon. Before we log off, do you guys have any other questions or things you want to go over with us? Awesome. Well, I'll stop sharing my screen. Again, reach out if anything else comes up. But yeah, we'll get moving on this. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, bye. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, guys, next on the agenda. Well, do we want to jump into our social media update from Travis since we've got him on the line? Kind of ties into everything.
Sounds good. So this month I hit it a little heavier this month, especially with Facebook. 35 posts up from I think 22 from last month, and we're up 40 followers on that platform. With our posts, we hit a total reach of 28,400 roughly, and with an average of 811 per post. Reactions, we were at 1,844 with an average of 53 per post. And we put up 64 Facebook stories this month, which garnered almost 4,700 views, which was an average of 73 per story. Instagram up 74 followers this month to 1,429. We had 15 posts with total of 1,481 likes, average of about 100 per post. We put up 48 stories this month, total views of 5,734 with an average of 120 per story. And that's kind of the bulk of it. We continue to push out Georgetown information through Twitter and John Denver's Georgetown, as well as the Christmas gift. But that's where we're at this month. I've been trying to go heavy with nature photos, and I guess I'll try to capture some of that from the weekend, the grand opening, and maybe some weekend shots where hopefully we have a crowd downtown with the pedestrian mall as well. But trying to focus a little bit on the train, Guanella Pass, anything that brings people through the town. But that's where we're at this month. So, any questions?
All right. Well, thanks, Travis. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Kyle, do you want to jump into your section?
Yeah, sure. So Jen circulated my report this month. So it should be in your guys' email if you want to follow along, or I can share my screen. I'll do that as well, just to. Okay. So this is our search performance from May to August. You can see we're still growing. where our growth is slowing in velocity somewhat. We were in a major slump there, so eventually you're going to start slowing down in terms of growth. There was just a lot of low-hanging fruit that I was able to grab early on. So now we're getting into something that's a little more realistic going forward. 19% growth in search impressions, 8% growth in organic clicks, and 11.6% growth in overall traffic. So here's what you see in analytics for July. This was like, I've talked about this a few times, kind of the main thrust of why I thought it was important to get involved in this project, is to resolve some pretty major issues we had. And so we've gotten there, and since the WordPress migration, we've continued to, making incremental improvements in the site health. It started pretty strong, but now we're getting to the point where it's as good as it's probably going to get. It might grow a little bit, but our issues are resolved. Our backlink profile has really taken a nice jump after its COVID dip. So happy to see that. We have some bigger websites now starting to feature the Georgetown website. And those bigger links that have a lot of domain authority are worth a lot. So the fact that we're getting things like Out There Colorado and 10 Adventures and stuff linking back to us, it takes a little bit of doing to convince them to do it. But I can't speak to Out There Colorado. I wasn't involved in that, but in this one, but at least they're willing to work with us. I mean, it's great. I'm happy to see that the website's healthy enough to allow for that. So in August, I'll continue doing kind of what I'm doing, link building, content optimization, content creation. I did create this job listing system. It only got used by the Happy Cooker, but it worked really well. So if anyone is still having any problems with hiring, by all means, submit your job listing on that. There's a link in this report, and there's also like a public page. And I also include on this report just the free website resources that are available now. Like we have the free featured events, free job posting, obviously, the free featured page, blog posts, and this is Travis's domain, but I threw it in there, was the free social media post, which just takes communicating with Travis. So definitely encourage everyone to use that. One quick thing I'll say is we're seeing things like this plateau and me rectifying the problems that we've had. I would say that the website is in a good place now where it feels to me like the money being spent on the website could probably get more mileage if we used it intelligently somewhere else. So whether that's video creation and put a little bit more emphasis on the social feed, or some of the paid efforts that Slate is pursuing, certainly we can still get mileage out of that money by creating content, putting on the site, and chasing down organic. But watching like the web presence of Idaho Springs, and I feel like they've really come a long way with theirs. It's clear to me that like focusing too much on just organic search or magazines, print advertising, that kind of stuff. I think that like if we could make it more cohesive, like they've done, or some other towns, Ridgeway does a good job. I'm starting to feel like, okay, the website is doing good. Now what? I don't think I would be doing the town a favor by continuing to stay in the precise position that I'm in. I think that now it's time to, we solved the problem. Now what? That's my opinion.
So Kyle, what would you recommend the action items be to move it in, into the next phase, if you will?
I mean, I think it would take, in my opinion, I would say a sort of first principles conversation about this entire realm of marketing budget and what is the budget. Maybe start having the conversation about next year or something. Not that I'm wanting it to wait that long, but I think it's a big conversation that should be had, in my opinion.
So should we put it as a big agenda item for our September meeting?
I think that's a good idea.
Anybody
If
else?
we're going to talk budget today, we might, when we get to that point, Kyle, because we have to have our budget in by August 21st. So pipe up with any feedback at that point financially, just roughly what we might want to anticipate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, so I can keep the website evergreen and continue to put some content on it as a volunteer. And what I'm taking, I would say, reroute that into something that is going to get more mileage than content creation on the site is currently getting.
Okay.
I just think that it's obvious to me at this point that now that is available. The money is not going to go as far with where the site is currently as it was going last month or a couple months ago.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Kyle?
That's it.
Any questions or comments for additional for Kyle? All right, thank you, Kyle.
No problem.
So,
It looks like, I'm sorry, excuse me, Steve.
Yep.
Kevin, do you have your hand up? Oh, you don't? Okay, I see a little hand. Never mind. Sorry, excuse me. Go on.
Kevin has big hands. Come on. Before we get into any of the, I mean, we've got just a couple of items left, but do we want to, I'd like to hear a little bit more on the 16th Street Mall. My gosh. My Denver days are haunting me. And the purpose of this, I think, Kent, is just to get a status from the town as far as, we threw a lot of ideas towards the Board of Selectmen, and I know some things have been discussed. I'm not sure if other things are a Board of Selectmen issue or if the town's taking initiatives on things like tables and chairs and stuff like that. So would you be able to give us just an update from a town perspective on enhancing the Sixth Street Mall?
Sure. I'll go through the list that you had, Steve, that you had sent to the Board of Selectmen. It was, first category was barriers in reference to the temporary barriers. Remove the do not enter signs. Remove the orange barriers, and the yellow barriers were okay. So we did replace them. We kept the one orange barrier at the end next to the Energy Museum, but we get an awful lot of cars that still think they can drive around that way. And it's needed at that end. If there's still a concern regarding that, Kevin, I don't know if you had a concern regarding that one at the end of Griffith or not. I have talked with the company regarding, because this will occur again, whether it's for Christmas market or for, and that was the indication from the commission, was look at what it would take to put in permanent bollard barriers. Still talking with the company regarding that. That's going to be a budget item for, it won't happen this year, obviously, but it's probably 15 grand or so to get it done. Hopefully maybe a little bit less than that, but I'm still talking with the company regarding that. Looking forward to that. We did send out, so that's the thing regarding the barriers. Is there any question or concerns regarding the barriers themselves? and what they have from the board?
No, I'm actually fairly happy or very happy about the discussion on the barriers you're talking about as a more permanent solution. I think that would tie in better with the historic look of downtown and can be used and unused at will as we have events. So personally, I think that's going to be money well spent going forward.
Just got to get the right one in place, you bet. Then there was a talk about the merchant grants, provide a little bit of money for 6th Street merchants to help offset costs for extending their storefronts onto the sidewalk and street. We sent on a survey, got some replies back, didn't get every reply back. And just like was mentioned earlier, need to move forward with that so that something actually gets done. The next category that was mentioned was non-6th Street merchants open up or designate available space in the pedestrian mall to allow non-6th Street merchants to set up their own space to market their goods and services. There hasn't been much movement on. Give me some direction about how that would best to proceed regarding that. Is that in the booths in Strauss Park, or is that setting up on the street? And then how does that occur? I'm a little confused regarding that.
Hey, Jan, do you have an opinion on that? I think you're the one that added that to the list, so.
Who, me? Yes. Well, I'm just thinking that if we don't have a lot of 6th Street people who want to participate on bringing things out, that we could open it up to other merchants in town. Like, thinking how cute a little flower cart from the flower new greenhouse, you know, things like that. And we won't know until we ask. So I think that would be the first step, is to ask them, and to also make sure that everybody knows that the money that we're offering to these people to do things, you know, just a little bit, is not taking away from signage and barriers and the other things, so they don't have to hold that money hostage to say, no, use it here. But I think, you know, whatever we can get on 6th Street, and again, food trucks. And a thought too, if we continue to enhance 6th Street, maybe that will entice the Board of Selectmen and town folk to be more receptive to extending this. That's all I got.
Well, is there so it sounds like nothing with that can happen until we get an understanding of, you know, and I'll call it loosely an invite to non-6th Street merchants, retail merchants, I guess. There needs to be some kind of a communication sent that if you are interested in participating in the 6th Street Mall in some form or fashion, you know, reach out to Carolyn, and she can, you know, maybe talk through, brainstorm with any interested parties about getting something set up, and kind of addressing Kent's, you know, how, when, who, what, where, because obviously there's logistics involved and things like that if they're not right on 6th Street. If it's somebody on the traffic circle or whatever, there could be a lot of variables. So if everyone agrees with that approach, then do we send do we ask Jen to send a email blast out to business owners, and make that introduction or that invitation?
I think it would be better as a one-on-one to see if they would have any response to it. I like the idea of reaching out directly and getting an immediate response from them. So, and take a little bit more effort, but I think it would be a better result rather than a blast to everyone and get a response from each one of them so that we to have a conversation with them.
So is that something we would ask Carolyn to do?
Yeah, Carolyn can, I'm speaking for Carolyn, but we can get that together and do that.
Okay.
Do you want me to pop in on them, or you want me to make phone calls, Kent?
Make phone calls, that'd be fine. Be able to talk to them. That's regarding the non-6th Street merchants. The signs, Carol and I have been talking with a company regarding making the signs, and they're come up with a good, decent sign regarding the promoting the social distancing and face masks. But the sign, as far as that the business is open, what they came back with was didn't like the reply that they had. So we've given them additional direction. But the fun promotional signs, and then I don't know. I'm going to show you this sign. This is one where we didn't, I'm showing the wrong one. There we go. These will be up, and they'll be able to have them fairly shortly. So, you know, it's typical of the messages that you've seen. But that's a sign that they put forward regarding the no. Okay. The other sign, I just don't like this sign. I don't think Historic Georgetown will like it. I think it's too much of a hillbilly sign, and I don't know what your guys' immediate response to it is.
I'm highly offended by that term hillbilly.
Yeah,
No, I think it can be improved. I don't know. Anybody got any comments?
I think if we're gonna dig ourselves into a rabbit hole over these signs, like tweaking them, that by the time they get put up, it's gonna be up for like a week.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I if people are that specific about it, then I don't know. I think they're fine. I mean, they're not like, they're fine. They're perfectly adequate and they're cute. They're not offensive. That's just me.
I think they're adequate. Fine and adequate are good words. Better
Okay,
get them than not.
All the hillbillies on the commission say go for it.
Okay.
If we're gonna overthink signage, then we need to just like, this is too important. We have so many bigger things to worry about right now.
Yeah.
It's a sign that says wash your hands. It doesn't need to be a period correct Victorian madam, although that would be great. But I don't know, maybe if her ankles were showing, it would be scandalous. But I know Kevin made a face. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. You think of different people which you're going to offend, so that's why I end up stopping with that. So.
And they can join a commission and design the signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have this, the revised, larger welcome to Georgetown sign back today. So we should be able to pull the trigger. And she said within a week, she thinks we'll have them. So hopefully.
And they'll be up. Okay.
You can always go with sheep if you never want to offend somebody. That is our town symbol. It was on our flag.
Do sheep wash their hands? Do they wash their hooves?
So mine
For 30
go,
seconds?
all my signs at work one pictures of a sheep with a mask on it, and it says, "Don't be a butthead, wear your mask. It's the law in these parts." My distancing ones, keep one big horn between you or 6 feet. And then over in the bathrooms all over the place, I have "Don't be an animal, wash your hooves," and then I have a hoof print. But I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying for the future, just get these out. But for the future, if you don't want to offend anybody, don't try to go for Victoriana or any of that 70s interpretation of what the idea of those things are. You can always use a sheep.
Thank you, Paul. The next thing that you had on here was furniture and fixtures, set up tables and individual chairs, French iron tables. I did talk with Paul a week and a half ago regarding the French iron tables because that was getting to be a bit much for the 2 months here as far as the French iron tables, and they weren't going to arrive here until the end of August, beginning of September at the earliest. And they would end up to about $700,000 per table. So I just held off on as far as the French iron tables. When we do this again, because I fully expect that this will be done again from what the conversations have been like. This is not going to be just a one-time thing. I think the French iron tables would be a nice touch, a nice addition, but it's not for right now. Does that match the expectations of the board?
Well, if not the French iron tables, is there going to be an alternative to the picnic tables? The original idea was to maybe have tables that have 4 seats to them to promote social distancing as opposed to large picnic tables. I don't know if anyone's got any other comments.
Yeah, when I spoke with Kent, going at this time for waiting for something to come from France or whatever with commissions and with all that stuff is not worth it. But the whole point of it was to try to use seats instead of bench. So that's why my interest was in tables besides the aesthetic portion of it. But I don't know if it's too long a run for short slide.
One of the things I noticed, and this is based solely on observations from the last 2 weeks, we've seen huge increases in the group size that are coming into town. And I don't know if this is being noticed on 6th Street, but I was down there yesterday. My family came and we ate at the Lucha food truck. And I actually watched a giant family move 2 picnic tables together. So like all 18 of them or however many there were could sit together. And I mean, it's kind of a gray area because the Colorado regulation on 8 is only from the PHO is only restaurant related. So I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong, but I could see in light of this conversation, people taking it upon themselves to rearrange the furniture. So, I mean, I don't think it should change our course, but maybe we should have some signage on them or something. I don't know. We have signs everywhere. I just want people to behave, but that's not going to change. So.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. Kent, I have a question for you. So the museum owns 4 outdoor round iron tables and probably 24 iron folding chairs that we keep in the courtyards. If I was to loan those to the town and put them out in the street in front of Hotel de Paris, who would be responsible for those? Where does the liability lie? Like if somebody should steal them or get injured on them, or would it be town liability or the museum's liability?
Without a
Because
separate
I would be willing to loan those to free up the two picnic tables that are in my block to go maybe in a busier block where like Lucha is.
If as far as stealing them, unless there was a separate agreement, it'd still be your responsibility, or the Hotel de Paris responsibility.
See, I'm just trying to avoid talking to the dames about it.
Yeah. I like the idea to be able to use them. We really haven't had too much trouble except moving them around, but haven't had anybody try to take them as yet. So, but it's a little different with the chairs versus the picnic table.
Yeah, since they're smaller, they could be thrown in the trunk of a car versus a picnic table, which you would have to have. A picnic table would be harder to haul away. And so I'm just trying to think of how I could approach the dames to ask them. And if I said, the town would be responsible for the welfare of these items, I'd be more likely to get a yes than a no.
I don't know what the likelihood would be that someone would take them until they would be taken, and chaining them up or doing something else so they couldn't be taken would be kind of defeat the purpose.
So if they're privately owned, but in the public right of way, would that put the museum at any sort of risk?
Yeah, it'd still be a risk for the museum.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So, Ken, it sounds to me like, short of anything else, we're going to just keep going forward this month with the picnic tables, and there is no other table alternative, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
We can move additional picnic tables down there. I don't want to end up in the situation where the entire street is blocked and then fire department's responding or the ambulance is responding to something and we end up causing a bigger problem.
Okay.
But I think some more down there. I really haven't seen a situation, I don't know if anyone else has, where I've seen all the picnic tables occupied, but I haven't seen where there's people waiting to use a picnic table. Has anyone else that when they've been down on the 6th Street seen
I did yesterday.
You did
People
yesterday.
were waiting, to sit. It was about noon when we were down there, and we went, like I said, to the Lucha truck, and every table in the library was full, and all the picnic tables were full. At least I couldn't see down to like in front of Hotel de Paris, so I shouldn't say 100%, but in that immediate vicinity of the food truck and in front of like Nisel's, all the picnic tables were full.
Okay. The next thing was, it did have procure and strategic place additional flowers, decorative cards throughout the mall. All the whiskey barrels that are there currently are there. We haven't added too many more to that, although some other folks have. The next thing is in Strauss Park and Library Park, better incorporate both corners into the pedestrian mall by extending the Library Park tables and chairs into the pedestrian mall. And then complete previously approved temporary lights for Strauss Park. Encourage Library Park to follow the same lighting scheme as Strauss Park. And open up Strauss Park booths for appropriate vendor use and waive fees associated with permits to encourage vendor participation. The Library Park tables and chairs is working fairly well with Luchas, and based on he has put in an application, but we've had some hiccups regarding his business operations in order to have a modified premise for his liquor license. So and when that happens, and I'm saying when that happens because I think it's still going to happen, there'll have to be a designated area with his modified premise for the liquor license, and it have to be marked. So that's where the library park tables and chairs into the pedestrian mall and how does it work with the food truck, Lucha's food truck, will be critical. As far as the lights for Strauss Park are still there, although they're with the sunset being so late right now, there really hasn't been anything to have them on at this point. And open up Strauss Park booths for appropriate vendor use. We have had a couple inquiries regarding that. Haven't had someone want to go ahead and do it as yet, but we're still investigating that. And Carolyn is working with Arts in the Park of different people, and then I think we're going to be trying harder or making more contacts regarding if there's a possibility of people that will want to use the Strauss Park booths during some of the weekends. It'll be just a weekend thing or possibly a week-long thing. But that's just a hope. It's not a definite at this point. Any other concerns, comments, questions, or complaints regarding that part?
Were we going to waive the special events permit for those folks?
Yes. Yeah.
I did get pushback. I offered to put a booth in. I talked to my board about it, but I did get pushback from a 6th Street merchant on having outside people in the booths. And even us from, in town, anybody but 6th Street.
Oh, really?
Be aware of it. Yeah. I was told it would water down the street too much, even though my presentation was about trying to increase the festival atmosphere. It was shot down hard.
Any additional background? I don't understand that. So
So we talked, if you remember, we talked about using those booths on the weekends, and then there was discussion about in order to fill them up, I said that the visitor center would go ahead and try to do a pop-up in one. On the weekends, I was going to do it myself. And I happened to have, a 6th Street merchant on my board, and it seemed fine. And then then I got a letter back saying that if we put people that aren't 6th Street into the booths, then I think the pie analogy was used or something, take away too many pieces of the pie from the people that are there. It's the same pushback that we tend to get anyway when we try to do things like that. It's exactly the same pushback, but it was done in such a way that I think that it's going to be the same little group of people. And anyway, I'm not pursuing it.
okay, but yeah, I guess I think you clarified what I was asking. I don't know if that would be reason not to pursue it, because overlap is overlap and you always have it. But you're not pursuing it because presumably it was a board member, and you're not going to do that. So understood.
I think if we pursue, and you guys can tell me if I'm all wet regarding this, if Carolyn had mentioned contacting different artists to be able to work or provide additional in the Strauss Park booths, and might get the same type of feedback, same type of resistance. It's just trying to show life in Strauss Park and another part of it. And just like you said, Paul, a little bit more of a festival type atmosphere. But I think right now I'd rather keep pursuing that rather than just back off completely. Is that okay with y'all?
Yes, I mean, for me, yes, we should pursue it. And as long as no one's got a conflict with their board, we should fill those booths up with things that obviously make sense, right?
Right. Even if it's only 1, 2, 3 folks, at least it's something. And Carolyn's pursuing this artist in the park, which I think will work, being a nice little addition as far as an event. That's regarding Strauss Park and Library Park. The trash cans, you had unlock and unhinge the trash cans during the day to make it easier for families with other items in hands to discard waste. We've been doing that. I don't think it's been done every single day, but it's working on a fairly regular basis. Open containers, the board did have a discussion regarding open containers. Did not pursue it in the Strauss Park at this time, but did allow on 6th Street as long as the modification of premise restaurant was involved with it. So the board passed one ordinance to allow it and voted down the other ordinance regarding open containers in the park in downtown. And then the signs we've gone through, and it says promoting the pedestrian mall upon approval of the Board of Selectmen regarding enhancement proposals, execute a social media that Georgetown is open for business safely, and commence other promotional activities such as merchant sidewalk sales, farmers markets, first Monday walkthroughs, etc. And that's what was given regarding the Business Promotions Commission. I'd asked for direction, questions, concerns, comments, complaints, what to do now.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the fact that the entire list was given consideration by both the town and where appropriate, the Board of Selectmen. And I appreciate the fact that, sounds like we're taking actions, and where there's no action to take, we're making a decision not to. So I appreciate the fact that it's very clear to me what to expect going forward. So thank you, Ken. The one thing I also think we should discuss right now is Tim Hammond's proposal to fill in every other weekend music at Library Park when there's not mountain jams happening. And I think he's looking for approval to have the town pay him as in the event he doesn't, or maybe he's already unsuccessful getting businesses to sponsor the events that he would do. Go ahead, Paul.
I have a commitment from the GLA and the Georgetown Library Association, and I probably can get a commitment from the Friends. I haven't actually had a vote on that from the Friends yet. And then I have a commitment from the Georgetown Heritage Center, as long as we can billboard it, to continue mountain jams and to work with the town to put money into that to make it so that it's every weekend. We were working on plein air last week, so we've been stalled on our pursuit forward with it. But I would love, if we all do it, just know that you have partner organizations that can supplement the monies that we put forward. The commitments I have are exactly what the amounts were previously. So the library is willing to put another 2,500 into it. And then I've already got some donations, one of which was $500. I think I have 1,000 toward it with the Heritage Center, and I can get more. And if we could try to match that or go to it and not use all the funds if we don't have to, but it would make it easier for those two organizations to assist him with that.
Could we offer a lower amount to the businesses of what it has been in the past with the added funds? to support that? You know what I mean?
I think that they're just asking for donations. I don't know what any kind of requirements ever been done to the businesses.
Well, no, when you, in the past, it was like $200 or something to have your, to have pay for, man, maybe it's not Tim, maybe it was the weekend, just the DJ music part. I don't remember now, but I have COVID brain fog, I guess. But there was a certain amount that the businesses had to pay. Do you remember, Jen? Help me out here.
Sorry, I was
I
muted.
think if
Okay.
you want to be a
So,
sponsor with your name on it, you should pony up.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
right. I'm saying
we're
that,
all suffering right now, and we're all trying to figure out ways to
I
do
know.
stuff.
I'm just saying
And
that it might be easier for the businesses to be involved if the amount was less this year. I'm just a suggestion. I don't,
I think they should be involved, but I
so.
think that if your name wants to be on something for advertising, advertising costs.
Well, I understand that and I agree. I'm just asking if it could be a less amount, but if, you know, I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I'm not
I
even
could say in
asking businesses
the
personally.
past, I think you're right, Jan, it was $200, but a couple of the businesses got together and split it.
Right.
And, you know, maybe we could do something like that if you want to be, you know.
How about we don't even ask them for anything and we just do this with those 4 organizations?
That's fine too.
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to track what the action item is here, or what the request is, if any.
My request is $2,500 from the Promotions Commission to match what everybody else is doing.
So that would put us to a collective $10,000, right?
If we ended up using it, it would go to what? We have well, we'd probably end up with 7,500 in the end, because it would be 25 from the cultural arts, 25 from us, and then 25 from the library, because the GLA and the Friends probably won't put in equal amounts. It'll probably end up being the Friends or the GLA, one or the other. In 70, it's 5,000 for the jams as it is now, so 7,500. And it costs about a concert, $1,000 a concert at this point. So that would give us 7.5 weekends. The benefit with Tim and using Sasha on it is we don't spend everything. Tim doesn't always spend everything he has, so we might be able to get more out of it, but I haven't actually looked at how many weekends we have left anyway, so before it's too much. I'm just asking that we match if we're gonna do it. I think that's what Tim was going for. And then that alleviates the problem of the businesses having to worry about coming up with more money to be a part of an advertising thing. We can just pursue that sponsored by this. And then that helps. And that's something we're doing for the businesses rather than asking the businesses to do for us.
My only question would be, and this would maybe be a Mary question if Jen is near Mary, is do we have enough left in our budget before the budget expires to do that this year?
Let me ask her. She's right here.
While we're waiting for that answer,
she's looking.
I think Paul has a good point where we can do something to help the businesses, and that's something that we can put on our report card back to the town as something that this commission has done to help business. So I think that'll help us with our scoring.
I totally agree. If we're in a position, I just don't know how much we've spent with.
Mary's saying that yes, it was budgeted for this year, the 2,500.
Cool. Well, there you go.
And I have that we have 4 more Mountain Jam concerts, 2 in August and 2 in September.
I guess that sounds right.
Oh, I'd say that's pretty straightforward then. I can do a motion if you want.
Well, yeah, if we need to do a motion, let's go ahead and do it.
I make a motion to give, is it Mountain Jams that we're giving the money to specifically?
Paul
Okay.
says yes.
Okay, I make a motion to give $2,500 to Mountain Jams to supplement their budget for this rest of the summer season.
Everybody second the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sounds like the motion has passed. All right, is there anything else on 6th Street Mall at this point before we move forward? Kevin?
I just want to publicly thank Kent for changing the barriers out. I think it looks so much friendlier, so much better, and I have no problem with the tall striped one at the end of the street. I like it there. I think that was a great decision. That's a kind of a different situation at that end. And I also think that the parking signs, the public parking directional signs, are fantastic. I think that really helps people navigate through the downtown. So thank you for doing that too. Really good.
Have we missed any? Have you seen any that are missed?
I haven't noticed, but I'll look and I'll let you know. But I find them very helpful. Yes.
Okay. Jan, you raised your hand.
How's the stop sign on Rose Street doing? That was one of the things we had talked about. Helping people remember to stop there.
We're looking at two different things, a speed hump in the middle of the block on Rose to get people to actually slow their butt down. And then also lights around the stop sign. I had that suggestion from the police chief. So we're looking into both of those.
I also
As
heard-
far as flashing red.
had a suggestion from someone that you put a big planter and kind of make a traffic circle there, that might slow down traffic.
I don't know.
It could, but then we still have the truck traffic going up to XL's Cabin Creek plant. And they basically, some of those loads use up the entire width. So I wouldn't want to put anything in the middle of 6th and Rose, so.
Okay. Anything else for 6th Street? I'm going to move, we got 2 agenda items left. I'm going to let Carolyn provide her section, and then we'll wrap it up with Amanda leading a discussion on the budget. So if not, Carolyn, you've got the floor.
All right, well, we haven't met since July 4th. So the July 4th event got mostly rained out. The mural, we had, I think 10 families participated. It was good because it was activity for kids, but rain struck about 1 o'clock and the town just emptied at that point. But overall, at least we had something for those people who came into town that day. So I'm glad that that happened. I've been able to promote the Mountain Jams and the plein air event on all of the Facebook groups that I've managed to get myself in. So right now I am reaching about 67,400 people with those kinds of promotions in the community Facebook pages. And I continue to try to get myself into more of the Denver suburb community pages. So far, I've not been denied. So it's just a matter of me continuing to wait to get approved to get into some of them. So that's a good thing. So anytime we're doing anything and I promote it, we're reaching quite a few people now in community groups on Facebook. I worked with Slate and Kent this month on some ideas for promotions and the signage. That's something else we've been doing. And then the other thing I've been trying to line up is Georgetown Arts in the Park. The concept there is that an artist each Saturday would be featured in the park, and they would be doing their art live so that there's something for somebody to watch. And in thanking them for that, they're going to be allowed to sell any completed items that they've got there in the park. It has not been real popular. We worked with the galleries that are currently on 6th Street for their artists. We started there because we wanted to start local. And I only managed to fill 3 different weekends using local artists. So recently I've branched out to some of my community pages looking for artists, and I just got approved to be in a Colorado Artists Selling Forum on Facebook, and I just promoted there yesterday. So we'll see if I can fill the rest of the weekends, but as of right now, it's not starting until August 15th. We have a jewelry maker who's going to be in the park on August 15th. We have Mountain Jams on the 22nd, so that's, I mean, if I can put an artist there, I will, but I'm not overly concerned because we do have Mountain Jams that day. August 29th, we actually have 2 artists. We have a painter that's going to be in Strauss Park. We also have a chainsaw artist who we're going to put up at the far end of 6th Street because he needs a wider area, wider safety zone for what he's going to do. So we're going to rope off an area up at the end of 6th Street for him. And then again on the 12th, I've got a fused glass artist who's coming into Strauss Park. So I will continue to try to fill every Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, just, I think there's a question on the chainsaw artist. Paul?
Sorry about that. I thought I was muted. Which end of 6th Street?
Carolyn, did you hear that?
Probably up near Town Hall.
Kevin?
Probably up near Town Hall.
One potential conflict would be noise competition for my tours. We have the windows open for air circulation and replenishment, and so it would be a competing factor. So we may need to schedule when he's running the chainsaw to avoid that conflict. Something to think about.
Do you have a suggestion for a better location?
The other end of 6th Street? Maybe in that parking lot, maybe the county parking lot, or I know Mountain Mamas is always kind of left out of any 6th Street activities. So they might even want it in their courtyard. I mean, might be something to think about.
So Carolyn, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would he fit in Strauss Park?
No. Oh.
The chainsaw
I
guy?
don't know. He needs 15 feet around him, like in every direction. So is what he was saying. So we need to.
I mean, I kind of like putting them on 6th Street because we're trying to put stuff on 6th Street. And I agree that the noise could be an issue. And would the noise really be an issue if you put them, more towards Mountain Mamas, like right, maybe that's the first thing people see as they're coming off the train and everything. They see the barricades close, and then
a guy with a chainsaw.
They see a guy with a chainsaw. How exciting is that? But he's carving stuff, right? So it's not Halloween. It's not Jason or whatever the guy's name is. But maybe that's the right spot. But again, there's businesses there too. I know there's, I don't know how that would play in.
I don't know. Have you seen his face covering?
But personally, I like the idea. It's action. There's something happening, but I think the sound, maybe just give some more thought to the sound, Carolyn. I personally think we should do it. Just let's figure out where to put the guy. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. I'm sorry. I don't mean to crack up. I'm not, I just
What could go wrong?
All right. What could go wrong? No, I think it's awesome, and well done trying to kind of facilitate some action on 6th Street. I know that's been really challenging, and so I think that that's a good path, depending on where he lands. But it's cool.
I just want to clarify, you're not talking about closing another section of 6th Street? Are you talking about closing another
No.
block on 6th Street or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think there's room in front of the community center for sure.
I mean, I would target that. Honestly, I think that side of the street would make sense. And, I guess there's a potential for, make sure he's on kind of the library side of the street and position it in a way to the best you can. You got Lucha's food truck, then you got the chainsaw guy. Make sure, the town's very, what I like about Georgetown, there's no dust, so he can't create any dust, any sawdust. That's a joke. Kevin, do you have something?
This might be a question for Paul. With the library closed, what about the courtyard of the library? That's more than 15 feet square, and you could just put a barricade across the little entrance there, and people could watch over the wall safely. Again, it's a liability thing. I don't know, but that seems like a really nice adjacent space that's confined and defined and not being used.
I can ask Libby what we're doing with that, if that's something they'd like to do. I do like the idea of having it at the end of the street. I think what you're creating there too is another sound problem, because if you go into that courtyard, you have hard surfaces on all sides of the chainsaw, which would just reverberate it back out, I would think. If I were Mountain Mamas, the noise, because I knew that yours was tour specific, but I also like the idea, to circle back to what Steve said, to what Steve said, I like the idea of when you come down from the train seeing activity. And I almost think that sort of an ideal of bandstanding it at that direction is more of a draw. I know that we have trouble getting people to you and to the other side with whenever we do closures like this, but just that activity level, concentrating, it's almost like putting a guest in your window when you don't have any people in your dining room yet. And so I like using that section for this, frankly. And I would ask Mountain Mamas and the jewelry store and the people that are right there, and just give them a heads up that you're going to be doing this so that you don't hear it in the end. I'm an ask permission person though. I'm not a ask forgiveness person. So you should know that. Anyway, that's my thought. But I could always ask about the library, but I do think that visual is pretty hot. Somebody doing something, it's really a cool idea. I just knew that with your windows open, I just saw you giving a tour. It's the 19th. But if I had a coffee shop or something, I'd be like, isn't that cool? Let's take advantage of that. And then even the cringing when the noise is there is awesome. It's life, and I love it.
Okay, and so the only other clarification I wanted to get was when I've advertised this, I have, with the local artists, it's not a problem, but with now, sorry, thanks, Steve. Are we waiving the special event permit fee for these artists as well? I knew we were going to do it if we got people in the booths. The question is whether or not we want to do it for the artists as well.
I'm fine with it as long as they collect sales tax.
Yeah.
Gots to pay the man.
Yes.
All right. What is the town sales tax?
9.05 is the total.
Say it again. 9.05.
That's state, county, and Georgetown.
There's a special thing they have to fill out now as a special event person for their sales tax to go to the state. And then I know that Jen and Mary created something for us too, just to make sure that everybody's on board with their sales tax bit.
If they're traveling artists, they might already have their sales tax ID. It's just a matter of how the state filing, if you operate in multiple counties, is extremely complicated. If you do business in lots of counties in Colorado, it's not very user friendly, but everyone knows it. So they would have it, would be my guess, if they're Colorado based. They should, because they've got to file taxes in other places too.
I mean, yeah, we have a
Yeah,
form, an
I'm sure
application
they've
that we
got
can. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Go ahead. No. I mean, do you want them to fill out the special events form? We just waived the $25 fee. Does that make sense?
I mean, just so we have a place where they can write down their number, or you can photocopy their state sales tax license certificate. But I mean, we have blank forms just so we have their contact info and a place to write down that number, you know?
Okay, Carolyn, did you have anything else? Carolyn, you're on mute.
No, we're good. I think that was the rest of what I had worked on this month, and
All right. Well, good. Thank you.
I will continue to pursue those booth opportunities with your blessing.
So, I just blessed you. Go ahead, Paul.
I have to look at my exact dates, Carolyn, but Plein Air was very successful. We had a lot of artists and a lot of participation. I think you may have seen everybody through town painting. We had 22 artists. I had to cut it off because of safety. But what you should know is that we're running a gallery for the next 2 weeks. And so those are those artists.
Yeah, I have it on my
So
I
I
have
don't
it on my
want
calendar to re-promote it.
Okay. So something that we should do, if you have a painter downtown selling their stuff, you should kick them over to the Heritage Center because there's Plein Air work there. But what you're asking, what you're trying to get, some of what you're trying to get is Plein Air artists. So I'm willing to give you, I don't want to really necessarily they can decide whether they're undercutting their own work in the next 2 weekends, which I think you're busy. You've got them anyway. But I can give you I will look to see, I'll ask our chair, but I'll look to see if we can give you our artists, because Plein Air people love to paint and to be seen painting and to sell their work. So that might be low-hanging fruit for you, for fine artists.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. Good work. Really appreciate your efforts there. Amanda, you've got the floor on financials and budget.
For some reason, I told Steve that I would do this because I just decided I would help. I don't know. So at any rate,
I caught Amanda in a very weak moment. So
yeah, I think I was even sober when I said I would help. I don't know. So going into 2021, we need to get our budget in line for Mary and just kind of get our budget requests aligned. And then the Board of Selectmen will ultimately vote on a budget that impacts us, obviously, and what we're able to do. Right now, we have, did everyone get a copy first off of, it was in our agenda from the town clerk, and Jen, I'm not able to share it. Is there a chance you could maybe put it up for everybody to look at?
Yeah, I think I can do that. And Mary's here for everybody. So.
Hi, Mary.
Hi there. You guys all got it about 3 weeks ago in a separate email directly from me. You should have all gotten it.
If we can put it up, I do have it here.
I will try. I'm not sure. Let me see. I didn't have it ready to go. Hold on.
And it was also on our agenda on that came from Jen, if that's easier to find. Basically, what we kind of need to focus on today is not like the finer details of the budget. But we need to focus on what is important to the commission for the 2021 budget, specifically special events, because when we go into to Mary, ideally she can tell the Board of Selectmen this is what promotions wants, A, B, C, D, E, and this is how much they need, and then they will ultimately approve or deny. In years past, we've had, and it wasn't anyone's fault other than our own, but we've had some things that have been pulled from our budget because we didn't present ourselves well. So this is the time, obviously, for us to kind of get organized. You'll notice on the 2 lines for the management services allocation and then utilities, that is Mary. Specifically, what we need to focus on today is the special events. And I realized that, and this was a conversation I had with Kent and Mary last week, is that how are we budgeting for events in the time of COVID? So there is some COVID consideration, especially related to the fact that we are probably going to see a huge sales tax deficit going into next year, and we're not going to be nearly as lucrative as we've expected to be, and also consideration of the fact that events may or may not occur. So with that being said, what are we wanting from a special event standpoint for the next budget cycle? Which, Mary, the budget starts on what date again?
January 1.
Okay, so thoughts, commission?
Hi, it's Kevin. I think we need to look at the plein air event from this past weekend as a great model for doing a special event that is within the public health order restrictions. If we start thinking about smaller, safer events instead of big, blockbuster events like car shows, and maybe have more smaller events instead of fewer big events, maybe that's the attitude we need to adopt. But the Heritage Center and GCAP did a very, very good job of having a high quality professional group gathering, if you will, spread throughout town that was effective and safe. And so maybe just mapping to that.
No, that's a really good point. And I think the one thing we have working towards our advantage in this budget planning cycle is we generally don't do a ton of events in that first quarter of the year anyway. And so maybe I'm being optimistic, but hopefully by next summer, there's a little bit, COVID is not impacting us quite as dramatically as it is now. I realize that's very optimistic on my part, but definitely think that we do need some consideration for those PHOs. As far as next year for our kind of flagship events, what are the thoughts right now as far as putting those into the budget? That would be things like the Slacker allocation, the Bighorn Sheep Festival. And again, I'm not talking this upcoming November, I'm talking November 21. For some reason, I can't remember any events. Oh, the burro races, the car shows, like the summer ones. What are our thoughts on trying to get that worked into some type of a budget?
I absolutely think that we should be working those into a budget. My only question is, have we had any guidance from Board of Selectmen with regard to what our projections are for sales tax so that we can alter it? Are we looking at a 30% of what last year was, or 10%, or 50%, 100%? You know what I mean? Because we need a point from which to project, because frankly, we could just say, I would love to do everything the way we do it always next year. But if we're looking at 33% of last year's operations for the train and for our big sales tax generators, do we have any kind of projection in that way?
Their sales has not dropped as dramatically as what
You sound like Darth Vader.
I do this toward the end.
Ah! I would defer to Mary on that, because honestly, I think it's kind of a chicken and an egg situation where we have to go in with something for them to work backwards from. So Mary, what is your thoughts on how we should pursue this breakdown of events for you, knowing COVID is lame sauce and ruins everything?
I mean, so far this year, as far as sales tax revenues, we're probably not too far off of our original prediction. I mean, I think conservatively, if this continues, you 65%, 70%, I nod your head, Ken, if you think I'm correct as far as next year's sales tax revenues goes, but you know, not knowing, like Christmas market this year, are we this year, next year, is that going to happen? Who knows? But I'd say with the new laws that mail order, we get the sales tax on any mail orders that are shipped here, has kind of saved us.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, and kept it fairly steady. I mean, obviously we're down, but not anything drastic.
Okay.
Well,
oh, go ahead, Mary. I'm sorry.
My suggestion would be to budget your special events, whether it's having a more smaller events and you know, maybe one or two large events, but do it like it's not going to happen for the most part, that things are going to loosen up. So the money's there, and go that route. One thing you do need to figure out is if you're going to need new brochures printed for next year, because that's usually a large expense, and it hasn't been done in several years. So I don't know if you want to redo the brochures and have them reprinted, because that's going to be a large expense out of your budget. If that.
Yeah, that sort of got lost in the shuffle this year. I think we all decided that I know we all decided that the brochure is outdated now because it doesn't even show breweries. Lots of things have changed. So we definitely need a redesign, and you know, COVID's going to set the tone for the design, the message, all of it. So I would say that the brochure that we've been using is dead and over, and at this point we really don't have a brochure, so something needs to be developed for sure.
So in that same vein, other things to consider, not to get off the subject of events, but we need to consider our banners being redone. That was left off last year because of budget purposes, and they're officially extremely shot. The brochure, we do have the expense of having now a paid person on staff. We need to consider how much we want to continue on financially with Slate, like what the big piece of our financial picture for Slate is. We need to consider our website stuff, and this was something that Kyle brought up. So these are all things like that everyone needs to kind of think about, and I will take responsibility for dialing in the numbers and submitting them and going on the Board of Selectmen meeting if necessary. But I just want you guys to kind of throw out your thoughts on anything that needs to hit this budget. And then I'll show you guys the work so you see it and you can tweak it, but this is the time to kind of bring it up.
Yeah, so specific to Slate, Ken, are we in the position, we always talked about dialing them back more and more each year. Do we have that opportunity? I think when they do like the articles that Kevin was in and some targeted print stuff makes a lot of sense. Do we really need them beyond that? And if not, what would that number roughly be for Slate in 2021?
Oh, we can come up with that. I agree. It should be help.
Yeah, Darth Vader, sorry.
You sound like one of those people that's telling us not to smoke, like in a commercial, like with the, I'm like the voice box. I'm sorry.
That was horrible.
Didn't mean to be rude, but
man.
like that's how it sounds. It's terrible. It's like it's all static.
But it sounds to me without Kent being able to talk through his breathing.
Can you type, Kent?
It sounds like there's an opportunity to dial Slate back even more. So.
Yeah, Charlie Brown's teacher. That's a good one too.
The banners and the brochures are both stale, overdue. I think we definitely can take money from elsewhere and get caught up on those. We're behind on both of those, and I think it they're damaging our image now. At first, they were helpful when they were new, and now they're not helping us.
What if we had Slate as kind of one of their last big things for us? Do that brochure with their content. That's the one thing that Slate has done well, is generate a lot of content for us, and kind of like, you know, they've got a pretty solid photography portfolio at this point. And if our library is not solid of photos by now, I don't know what they've done with their time. So if they could maybe do that last redesign for us.
I think brand consistency is important, and we don't have it right now because it's been piecemealed together over the years by volunteers. And so, yeah, if they could just deliver a nice polished package where the banners and the brochures, you know, coordinate, I'm all for it.
Is that something Ken could put Slate on?
Yeah, just for my clarification, the banners we're talking about, these are for the street posts going down Argentine, and it would incorporate all street posts, even the new ones, correct? Okay.
Excuse me, Amanda?
Yes.
And I think something else Slate does for us very well is the liaison.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Mary was right in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, I can barely hear Mary.
Okay. I just wanted to point out that you do have $3,000 in the 2020 budget for signage and banners. So, I mean, if you could start, maybe get at least some of it done, so that money is, you know, spent. I don't know, Kevin, yeah. Okay, good. I don't know how much of it's spent this year. I don't think it's been very much. So you did have $3,000 if you want to even start with design or something on the budget this year, and then have the manufacturing of them in 2021 or something.
Absolutely. We should not, we should have a zero balance at the end of our year. I hate when we don't spend the money that we have available. So definitely spend that on design.
Mary, if I'm reading this right, is this what you sent over to us? Is it current as far as what we have left over from this year? So like, what's our balance, our total budget balance right now?
You have, let me look at what I gave you here. So you've spent 51.5% of your balance as of end of July, and that could change a little bit because July is not final yet. So you're on target for because June's half the year, so you're a little bit less, but there's a couple things that will get charged, like management services allocations will go up $6,000, or not 6,000, I'm sorry. 1,100, something like that. But let's see, signage. You've only spent $164 on signage and banners so far, so you've still got 2,800 and change left. If you want to use that for maybe design this year on the banners.
We should, Kevin, what was our thinking on pushing that project back? I don't remember why we did that. You and I you were going to work on it and I was going to help, and then we didn't do it.
In the word COVID, because you and we were about to get together to meet, and then everything got shut down.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
we
were
can
days
pick
away
that
from
back up.
We can pick back up now because we know how to. Yeah. And so, but no, in a word, COVID, that's what happened.
Okay. And I don't know if you guys all saw in the chat, Cass Patton, who's awesome, had some information for us on some print costs as well. So we have some options there that we can discuss, but we'll kind of move some of this money that has been sitting in our budget towards a goal for this year. And then going into next year, knowing that we have different print costs, but if we can get the banners done this year maybe, or mostly done, that would probably behoove us tremendously, because we don't want to have a balance. We do know that going into the fall, we may not have some of our good fall events that we normally allocate funds towards. Like, obviously, Bighorn Sheep was officially canceled, right, Paul?
Yeah, I think there's going to be one more meeting to see if we're going to do any kind of virtual stuff, and then I'm going to hold some stuff at the visitor center. But I don't think just some educational things that are safe. So, in a nutshell, yes.
And then I realize, Kent, can you give us any direction, like in the chat or wherever it's easier for you, on Christmas market for this year? It's so hard to know what's going to happen. Okay, so no further info on Christmas market. We're looking at dialing slate back, so I'm clear. We're looking at getting the banners done, so that comes out of this year's budget. I will just use the schedule of events that we normally plan on for this, unless there's any other event that people want to add. Mary will handle the professional services and the management services piece. Is there anything else that we are dying to have him in our 21 budget? Or that we should have? Kent? Can we get you like a notepad? You can hold it up.
These people work.
Looks like he's typing.
I see. It is weird. It's like the internet in our town like gives up from town hall and just starts, because it's definitely some amount for new events as Carolyn gets more involved. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone is dying to include in our budget for next year?
Social gatherings, should we still try to have business, COVID safe social gatherings quarterly next year? Put that in just for the inviting new businesses and all of that. I would definitely want to do it on a quarterly basis.
I think my last question on the budget is for Kyle, with the direction of what you were talking about. So currently right now, we budget a fair amount of that is slate related. If we were to diverge that money from slate into a different platform to kind of do those things that you were talking about with the website, what would that, I mean, obviously no one's going to hold you to a number, but do you have a rough estimate of what a normal website is cost, maintenance, improvement, streaming?
Well, I mean, like in terms of keeping the website current and error-free and all of that, I'm happy to do that as a volunteer. That was my intent with that comment. And the money, so right now the money that goes toward me is getting directed toward content creation and optimization and all of that stuff. And we're plateauing on that with the current budget. So I think that it would be, I think that that's a, you know, I can't tell you exactly where that money ought to go. So that's going to kind of inform the price, right? So that would be a conversation for all of us to have, whether it's pushing harder on social and, or trying to bring everything under kind of one better brand and bringing some branding agency on. I know it's a big conversation. I just am pretty confident at this point that the money going toward me could be better spent in the near future here.
Okay.
Whether that's Slate or I know you're looking for a more specific answer than that. I just don't know that I'm the person to offer that. I think it's a conversation.
Okay. Also in the chat from Kent, redirecting some amount for photo shoots, specific set asides. I'm not sure. Can you try and talk again and elaborate on that, and let's see if it works?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just think that specific photo or video shoots, just like that example from Salida, I think that needs to be done on a regular basis, and it helps liven up the web, the social media, all those things. It just helps.
Okay.
But we have to set it, we have to designate it specifically.
Okay.
Do we know the agency that does This Is Idaho Springs? Like, do we know anything about them? Do we know anything about their pricing? Is that
I'll chat with you offline. I do know them.
Okay.
They are a contract marketing firm. So when you go into something with them, it's like it's a contingency, and there's levels of contingency. And I shouldn't speak for them because I'm sure that they would be happy to pitch to us. They would really like to. That's kind of how I'll leave that.
Okay.
Anything else?
So Paul chatted that Nancy Hale has not canceled HGI, or have not canceled Christmas Market, I should say. So hopefully that event still happens. Anything else on budget, Jan?
Are we looking at 6th Street Mall, pedestrian mall as an ongoing thing? I mean, is that like a goal or?
Well, the Board of Selectmen has agreed to readdress it at their Tuesday meeting following Labor Day weekend. So theoretically, it ends on Monday of Labor Day, and then a decision will be made Tuesday evening. Is that right, Kep? So.
And I'm thinking even like next summer, I mean, I'm just wondering if we should put a little money in the budget for, enhancements for 6th Street. If that's something we want to do next summer.
I think you can put it in as an item in the budget, whether it comes out of promotions or comes out of a different part, that they should be identified and should be promoted as a priority. If we keep doing this, we need to keep doing more.
The part that's hard for the 6th Street Market, and I am obviously a huge proponent of it because I think that the safety piece is really important, is that businesses are not able to get a barometer 100% on if it's a COVID impact or, in the opinion of some of the operators on 6th Street, the walkway impact. And that's where I think we'll continue to see pushback. If COVID was not an issue next summer, and who knows, like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, much less next summer, I can't see a lot of justification for doing the market again unless COVID was an issue, because I don't think it's necessarily enhanced in the minds of a lot of the business owners on 6th Street, their day-to-day operation. Now, again, this is all hinging on COVID. I'm down 23%, you know, but I can only seat so many people. I'm still perpetually busy and we've got a lot of volume and our tables are always full and we're always running a wait. Is that because but we're not as busy as we should be because of COVID. And so I can correlate those two things. And I think that that's what's going to make, we should definitely budget for it, but I would be curious how we would proceed next summer if there was not a global pandemic. Just my opinion.
All right, well, it's 10:02. Carolyn, you had one point, and then I think, Amanda, do we have anything else to cover? Otherwise, we should probably work at closing the meeting. Go ahead,
I would
Carolyn.
just say for people to email me if they have anything that comes up. Email me by Friday so I can get this in.
Wait,
Kent
Carolyn.
and I have been looking at, Kent and I have been looking at street signs, signage on the corners that point to different businesses, as well as a kiosk for down by the lake and in Strauss Park. Is that something that we're going to do with $2020, or should that be budgeted for 2021? That's a question.
What does Mary think?
Mary is on the phone right now. Let me, I don't know. Let me ask her in a second. Let's come back to it. Can you guys hear
Kent,
me?
maybe you should. What do you think,
here she
Kent?
comes. Hold on. I think she's getting off now. Hold on. Sorry. They're asking, what about kiosks at the lake and Strauss Park and street signs that point to the businesses? Would that be for next year's budget or this year? Well, it depends on, I mean, could you get it done this year in this short of time before everything kind of winds up for the summer? Or winds down, I guess.
What do Kent and Carolyn say?
Yeah, I think they could be done for sure. The question is where the money comes from, because those aren't inexpensive little signs that we're having printed. You know, it's a post that would have the signs put on. They're more permanent, and the kiosk, the way we're looking at designing it, would have a map of the entire area showing all the businesses, and that would get updated probably every few months. So it would be a point where you'd have it printed on a large poster that gets replaced inside glass every few months as things change. So it's an ongoing small expense, but it's a big expense in the beginning to create the place where it's displayed.
Again, you've got 2,800 for banners and signage in this year's budget. So however you'd like to, you know, if you want to start the banner designs and get some of the banner stuff out of the way. And I mean, I don't know what kind of expense you're talking about as far as the signage and the kiosk. So just keep in mind, you've got that for this year. So however you want to allocate which project is coming first, and then put the balance of that in next year's. I mean, you could start, you know, first of the year and have stuff ready for 2021 summer season.
I'd just like to say that I think that
the signage money that we have needs to be spent on the banners in order to get caught up, since we're behind on those. So maybe the kiosk and the signs down by the lake need to wait until we get caught up on the things that are already in play. We do promote downtown Georgetown at the lake. There's a big sign with a picture by Gary Haynes down there already. So I think we can wait on the lake.
Do we have any budget from events that we had on the calendar that we're not having? Or any left money from that?
Well, like Kevin said, in a perfect world, we would want to spend it this year. And so
So I think, I mean, I would have wanted signs, you know, especially downtown, that direct people to different businesses and different, you know, shopping, brewery, things like that. And if we have money to start on that, and then Kent also said something about the CARES grant funds, that we could use maybe some of that. So my vote would be to get started on those signs.
I have an observation about business signs downtown, a couple of them actually. We have to be careful about promoting specific businesses with town money. That's an issue. We need to promote the business community and the environment in which businesses operate. Now, having said that, on the side of the community center, there's a sign that points to Hotel de Paris and a sign that points to Hamel House. Those predate me, and so I don't know how that came to pass, but if we start making signs for, let's say, a new bakery, and then the bakery closes in 6 months, then we're out that money. So let's think more about the business community. Yes, the business community instead of specific businesses, even though I'm benefiting right now from a specific sign for my business.
It was proposed, I mean, the way we've done it, it would be every individual business, and the signs that go up for every individual business are only $25. So they're not expensive to replace.
I'm a
So
no
the whole
on
thing
that.
is designed that you bold up new ones.
No, I'm a no on that.
But that's
I'm a
the
no.
only way that you can do it.
I don't
You
think
know,
we
I
should
mean,
do it.
I can show you samples. I can show you samples of
No.
what other towns
I
have
think
done.
it goes against
and
what we
it
are
doesn't
allowed to
cost
do.
A lot.
I think it goes against what we're allowed to do. We're not supposed to promote specific businesses with public tax
Even if
dollars.
it's 100% of them, even if it's every single business gets it.
I'm a no vote too. I
I'm a
think it's
no.
visual clutter.
if we come back, we've got obviously two kind of separate discussions occurring. The kiosks themselves would be beneficial if we handle them the right way. I think we can tackle what goes on that kiosk when they're actually here. We've talked about kiosks off and on throughout the commission. I've been on the commission for, I don't know, 50 years, it feels like at this point. And I think we've talked about those in several capacities. And I think, so that would be something, and I feel like, and Jen would have to look back on this, I think there's even a vote on a kiosk that is like from the days of Marvin and Kevin. Do you remember? You've been on the commission
Yeah.
55 years.
Yeah, I remember a discussion about this, but it raises the question in my mind, why do we need a kiosk when we have the community center and their information center there?
For one reason, I don't think, remember, it's not open enough.
It's
That
not
was
open
one of the,
enough. Well,
that
maybe
was one of-
money needs to be given to them to be open more. It seems like the infrastructure is there. And so why would we not fix that? Instead of a workaround, why don't we aid them?
That's a fair point.
I don't have an answer. I have a
One
question.
of the issues, oh, sorry. Wait, who muted? One of the issues on the community center is staffing. I know that. They pay really well too, because I have some people that cross over. They're paying like $15 or $16 an hour for people to sit in the community center.
And
Which
in all
I think,
fairness, if we give money to the community center, why wouldn't we give it to the visitor center too?
Exactly.
We already do give money to the, do we still offset their water and phones as a town? We already give money to them.
Okay.
said the organization that does not get a break.
Yeah, so that needs to be looked at.
Knowing that the community center is an obstacle and is generally closed in the winter, I mean, again, we've divulged from the budget to a pretty specific discussion into this year. And I don't know, I'm just kind of.
Well, if kiosks were voted on, then we already have voted on them, and that's part of wrapping up projects that are on the table, and that's what Kevin was talking about. So if they were already voted on in some past meeting, Jen can help you guys find that. We should.
I feel like
allocate-
kiosks were voted on like 3 years ago.
Doesn't
Personally,
matter,
if
there's
I'm
still a vote.
I can go back and dig through old minutes and see what I can find.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
I think
work.
if you're wrapping up projects, that's part of wrapping up projects. And if something was already decided, we should move forward with it. I just don't lie. My idea of seeing a MASH thing on every street corner is just a lot. When you already have shingle signs and everything else.
So
it wouldn't be on every street corner, obviously, but you know.
I don't know what's obvious. I see a lot of different taste levels going on.
I've just seen them in other towns and they're very helpful and they're not, I think they're cute and directive and they help people know where to go to do things that they might be interested in doing.
it sounds like we have an action item for a later agenda on this. I mean, if there's a pursuit that Kent and Carolyn are already doing these, then, and it was voted on in a past meeting, then they'll handle, you know, that's what they're paid for. And then we can come in with our feedback as far as the branding message when the time comes. But it's obviously, I think, something that is already in the works and sounds like it's going to happen. And we, you know, if there's specific feedback as to the locations and stuff like that, we should probably put that on September, unless they're going to happen between now and September. But coming back into the budget for this year, since we kind of got off track a little bit, that would come out of this year's budget if it was going to happen this year. So we also have the banners, so we've got things to spend.
Excuse me, Cass is typing in the chat too that we did approve that, remember the messaging board?
Yep,
So
we
let me
approved those a
promote
long time ago too.
Should I promote her and see if she wants to speak about it, or?
That would be up to Steve. I don't want to hijack the meeting. I was just supposed to do the budget piece.
Yeah, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't hear Mary at all, so.
Do you want Cass to be promoted to a panelist to tell us something? We're a little over.
In the interest of time, if the board wants to continue, I've got to really cut it. I've got a conflict right now, so I'm sorry. It's 10:15, so we're 15 over.
Maybe Cass can email us and we could also put that on the next agenda, and we could have her as a panelist and she could be first to talk about that messaging.
Okay.
Thank you, Cass. You're amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jen and Mary, for all of your help with the budget, and Kent for really these action items that are really important. Thank you. And Carolyn, obviously you've done a really good job with these new events. So good job, town staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate town staff. And Carolyn, great job again. We do need to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I didn't see anything in them. I make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 1st meeting.
Anybody second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I'll give you the rest of your time back that we've already robbed from you. Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second. Anybody second?
Second.
Second.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.